Welcome to Mishna study Masechet Hallah Perek Dalet Mishnah Zayin. Over here in this Mishnah, we're going to speak about separating Hallah in Syria. Right. So over here, our Mishnah will discuss the Hallah in Syria proper. And we mentioned earlier, if you remember, this is the territory that David HaMelech conquered before he finished conquering the actual borders of Eretz Israel, and therefore it has this quasi in-between state. So we'll see a machlokah between Rabban Gamliel and Rabbi Eliezer as to how to deal with Syria itself. So Israel, let's say you had Israel person who was a sharecropper with another goy in Syria. Right? So he was working the field and he didn't have ownership in the field, but he had a share, a portion, he got a percentage. He was paid, let's say 25% of the crops at the end of the season. So Rabbi Eliezer comes and says that these fruits, right, that he's a sharecropper for, that he receives, is going to be obligated in ma'asrot and shvi'it, right? Rabbi Eliezer treats this somewhat like Eretz Israel in this regard. Because he's, he has some type of, right, somewhat sharing in the land, so therefore he's going to be obligated in, Ma'asrot and Shvi'it. But Rabban Gamliel Puter comes at Rabban Gamliel and says, no, because he doesn't have any ownership in the land itself, he'll be patur from Ma'asrot. Right, that's we mentioned this, also earlier. All these laws in Masechet Demai as well. Now, Mishnah Muzan, Rabban Gamliel Omer, Shte halot beSuria, Rabbi Eliezer Omer Hallah achat. Comes at Rabban Gamliel and says you need to separate two halot in Syria. Now, why two halot? So if we treat it like, more like chutz la'aretz, right? So the laws of chutz la'aretz, and we'll see this in next Mishnah, is you need to separate two halot, right? It's not enough to just separate, 1/24. You're gonna have to do it another version, right, as well. And why so? Because hallah, when you're separating it in chutz la'aretz, we know the afar, the dirt of chutz la'aretz, right, the environment of chutz la'aretz actually makes something tameh. So you're separating hallah, and it's automatically becoming tameh. So what are you going to do with that? Technically, you have to burn it. But it's not something that's recognizable as tumah. And we don't want people to think that we're going ahead and just, burning regular hallah in chutz la'aretz. So we separate another one as well, right? And this is really so we don't forget the laws of hallah in chutz la'aretz, and that's the law. And we'll see this in next Mishnah as well. And therefore, Rabban Gamliel says, because we're treating it like chutz la'aretz, right, as we did also, right? Rabban Gamliel says it's patur from ma'asrot and shvi'it. So therefore, also when it comes to separating hallah, you have to separate two, just like we would anywhere in chutz la'aretz, right? So it would be no different. Rabbi Eliezer is also consistent. He says the same way I obligate you in pirot ma'asrot and shvi'it, right? Because I'm treating it somewhat like Eretz Yisrael. So to over here, we're going to only have to separate one hallah, like we would for the rest of Eretz Yisrael. Okay. Great. Now comes the Mishnah and it says, Ahazu kullo shel Rabban Gamliel v'kullo shel Rabbi Eliezer. What they do? What do people do? They pick the kulot. Kulot picking, right? They took the kulah of Rabban Gamliel that he says that we only need to that you're patur from separating ma'asrot and it's patur from shvi'it, Syria, and they also adapted the kulah of Rabbi Eliezer and say, oh, we only have to separate one hallah. Right, so they really picked the kulot, even though they were soter one another, right? They actually they contradict one another, both kulot. Afterwards, afterwards they adopted the opinion of Rabban Gamliel in both opinions, right? And that's what the halacha is like, that it's the Syria is patur from ma'asrot and shvi'it, right? Unless, like we said, unless you own the land. If you own the land, then it'll be obligated in ma'asrot. But over here, the sharecropper case, it'll be patur from ma'asrot, and we're going to treat it like chutz la'aretz in regard to having to separate two halot as well.